I am Katie Kallenbach, a statistician in the Upper Midwest Regional Field Office located in Des Moines, Iowa. Now that we know what is in the tract, we will collect data for the entire operation on the rest of the questionnaire. In Section E, information will be collected for total acres operated and land use. One purpose of Section E is to determine total land in the operation. Section E will provide data for state-level estimates of land and farms and number of farms. For select operations, Section E will determine specific crop acres and intentions that will be used to select samples for future surveys. Items 2 and 3 collect total acres operated by the operating arrangement identified on the face page on June 1st. This includes any acres in the segment plus any acres operated outside of the segment. Land includes the farmstead, cropland, woodland, wasteland, and government program land. Acreages will be recorded to the 10th of an acre. Acres are split up like most surveys: acres owned, acres rented or leased from others, including acres cash rented, share rented, and used for free, and excluding land rented on a fee per head basis, and acres rented or leased to others. By adding owned acres, item 2A, plus rented acres, item 2B, minus acres rented out, item 2C, we get the total acres operated on June 1st in item 3. Item 3A is just a check to make sure you are including all land, even the operator's home. Item 4 asks if the operation on June 1st paid for livestock to graze on any type of land, either on a per head or animal unit month or AUM basis. If yes, check the box and enter a code 1 into box 906 and complete item 5 with the number of acres the operation used for grazing livestock. If no, check the box and enter a code 3 into box 906, skip item 5. Acres in item 5 are not reported in the total acres operated in item 3. If the operation has PIGA land, refer to chapter 6 in the interviewer's manual for examples on how to complete section E. In item 6, we're going to be comparing the total acres operated with the total tract acres reported in section D. This section helps ensure verification that all land is accounted for. If the reported total acres are less than the tract acres, either the tract acres included land not in the operation or the total acres operated was not reported correctly. Make corrections. If the reported total acres are equal to the tract acres, verify the tract and total acres. Make sure to include the operator's residence in the total acres. Make corrections to acreage if necessary. If the reported total acres are greater than tract acres, continue to item 7. Item 7 will include how many acres of cropland the operation has. Remember to include hay ground, summer fallow, idle cropland, cropland used for pasture, and cropland in government payments such as CRP and WRP. Cropland acres must be greater than or equal to the sum of crops reported in section D. Cropland acres must also be less than the total acres reported because the operator's residence must be accounted for in the total acres operated. When comparing total acres in box 900 and cropland reported in box 802, the difference must include waste, woods, and pasture reported in section D. Item 8 asks how many acres are in the Conservation Reserve Program, or CRP, or in the Wetland Reserve Program, or WRP. Since CRP and WRP are considered cropland, those acres should be included in the total cropland, item 7. If the operator has land that is in CRP that is not cropland, such as trees, leave a note explaining the situation. As the enumerator, you will complete item 9. Refer back to page 3 of the questionnaire and look at the crop stocks box. If the box is checked, check yes on item 9 and continue with the next question. If the box is not checked, check the no box on item 9 and skip all questions until section G, hogs and pigs. The next questions refer to crops and stocks on the entire acres operated. Item 10 identifies if there were any fruit trees, grapevines, tree nuts, berries, excluding strawberries, and Christmas trees on the total acres. Exclude any fruit, berry, or nut acreage used only for home consumption. If yes, check the yes box and enter the total acres in item 10A. If no, check the no box and skip 10A. Item 11 refers to small grains grown on the operation. If the operation reported any wheat, oats, barley, or rye in section D, check the yes box and enter 1 in box 161 and continue to item 12. If no small grain acres were reported in section D, determine if any wheat, oats, barley, or rye was or will be planted on the total acres operated for the 2021 crop year. Check the appropriate box and enter the corresponding code in box 161 and continue to item 12. Total acres planted and to be planted in 2021 by crop on the entire operation in item 12. The crops asked will differ by state. For corn acres, remember to exclude popcorn and sweet corn. For alfalfa, remember we only want newly seeded alfalfa or alfalfa mixtures, no reseeding. Acres reported in item 12 should be greater to or equal to the corresponding acres reported for the selected crops in section D. Genetically modified crops, or GMOs, have been removed from section E. They are only asked on the June crops APS or the June list questionnaire. In section F, data will be collected on grains and oilseeds in storage on the entire operation. More information can be found in the interviewer's manual in chapter 6. The purpose of section F is to collect grain and oilseed data to prepare estimates of the quantity of grains and oilseeds stored on farm. Results are published in the grain stocks report released at the end of June. This section will only be complete if the crop stocks box is checked. In item 1, report the storage capacity of all structures normally used to store whole grains or oilseeds on the total acres operated on June 1st. The reporting unit, either bushels or pounds, is pre-printed on your questionnaire. Make sure to include only storage for whole grains and oilseed. Do not include storage for crops such as hay, corn silage, potatoes, fruits, vegetables, etc. Include permanent structures normally used to store whole grains and oilseeds. Include structures currently in use or will likely be used in the future. In storage capacity, exclude bags, wagons, or ground piles, licensed on-farm storage facilities, and storage facilities rented to others. Item 2 will account for whole grains and oilseeds stored on June 1st on the total acres operated. Include grains and oilseeds for any purpose such as feed, seed, sale, etc. They must be whole, unprocessed grains and oilseeds. Do not include flour, cracked corn, processed grains, or mixed grains. Exclude any storage on the operation for hay, corn silage, fruits, vegetables, etc. Include crops stored on the operation, including structures rented from others, and grains and oilseeds in temporary storage. Do not include grains or oilseeds stored in structures rented to someone else or stored off the acres operated. Crops asked vary by state. Each crop will have a checkbox for whether the crop was stored and a box for reporting how much was stored. The units will be pre-printed on the questionnaire. If the operator doesn't know how much of a certain crop was stored, check the yes box and make a note. Item 3 verifies that the stocks reported on hand in item 2 do not include any from the 2021 harvest. If yes, item 2 does include new crops, remove all the 2021 stocks from the crops in item 2 and then continue with the questionnaire. If no, continue with the questionnaire. The next item asks about rice stocks and is only on selected states' questionnaires. Item 4 asks if the operation had any rice on hand or stored on the total acres operated on June 1st. If yes, verify the type of rice stored and report the bushels on hand from the 2020 crop or earlier crops. If no, continue to section G, hogs and pigs. This concludes the crops and stocks section of the June area questionnaire. Thank you all.